Okay, so for our session this time, we are going to discuss chapter 5. Okay, chapter 5, part B, question 5. Okay, we are going to look at question 5 here. So, I guess we can go. We can go from up the list. Okay, up the list. Kita start dengan Ahmad Fikri, please. Read the question and also give the answer, please.
Yes. Question 5, right?
Yep.
Okay. Figure 10 shows the mechanism of action for steroid hormone in animal cells. So for A, Roman, give one example of steroid hormone. So the answer is cortisol.
Cortisol. Okay. Steroid hormone is made up of what? Fikri? Kenapa steroid hormone ni kita panggil dia steroid? Dia dibuat daripada molekul apa? What is the precursor molecule used to synthesize steroid? Lipid. Kita dah belajar kelas lipid. Salah satu grup lipid kita ada, kalau lipid kita belajar dulu kan, kita ada fosfolipid kan, kita ada lagi satu grup apa? Triglyceride. Lagi satu apa? Kolesterol. So steroid dibuat daripada mana yang tiga yang saya sebut tadi tu? Cholesterol. Okay, cholesterol. So you have to know the precursor molecule used to synthesize steroid hormone are cholesterol. Okay, so cholesterol, it consists of 4 fused ring. Okay, 4 fused ring yang membezakan antara satu steroid hormone kepada hormon steroid yang lain adalah dia punya side chain yang kat tepi tu. So you can refer your notes on the structure of steroid hormone. It has 4 fused ring dan dia ada side chain. Yang membezakan satu steroid dengan steroid hormone yang lain adalah side chain dia. So tadi Fikri bagi contoh apa dia? Cortisol. So cortisol adalah hormone secreted by adrenal gland. Okay, adrenal gland to be specific, adrenal medulla ke adrenal cortex? It is adrenal cortex. Okay. So itu part hormon lah yang awak kena tahu kan. So lagi hormon yang awak boleh bagi example, for example estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, aldosterone. Okay. So all these steroid hormones. So thank you. Next is Ainin Sophia, please identify P.
P is hormone receptor complex.
Hormone receptor complex. So for steroid hormone, as you can see, the characteristics of steroid hormone is that it can enter into the target cell because it is lipid soluble. It can pass through or dissolve through the phospholipid bilayer, and so therefore the location of the receptor for steroid hormone is either located in the cytoplasm or it also can be located in the nucleus. Okay. So itu ciri steroid hormone. Dia boleh masuk dalam target cell dan dia punya reseptor ada dalam cytoplasm ataupun dalam nucleus. Okay. So Anas, number 3 please. Anas Solihin.
Yeah.
Hmm.
State the importance of process W. Protect mRNA from hydrolytic enzyme.
Are you sure? Itu kalau RNA processing kan? Ini sebelum RNA processing. Apa dia? straight daripada gene, the information is copied into mRNA kan. So proses tu adalah proses apa?
Transcription.
Transcription. Okay, dia tak tanya W tu apa, dia tanya importance of W. Apa dia? What is the importance of transcription? Obviously to apa? Untuk menghasilkan ni. What is this?
Memastikan apa namanya? cRNA, mRNA.
mRNA. Walaupun chapter 1 dan 2 tak masuk dalam syllabus, sebab itulah kita belajar dulu supaya you can apply the knowledge in the next chapter. So chapter yang kita belajar ni saling berkait. Walaupun dah lepas chapter 1, chapter 2, you still have to know the concept because it can be related to other chapter as well. So for example yang steroid hormone ni kan. So what is the effects of steroid hormones adalah dia akan menyebabkan last sekali apa? Activation or repress gene expression. What is gene expression? Which leads to the synthesis of mRNA through transcription. From mRNA leads to apa? Translation, which to produce protein. So maksudnya kesan daripada steroid hormon ni dia boleh mengaktifkan sesuatu gene ataupun merepress adakah menghalang gene expression. Okay, menghalang gene expression. So kalau menyebabkan gene to be expressed, last sekali dia menyebabkan sel tu menghasilkan protein baru contohnya. So from this steroid hormone it may lead to the target cell to produce another different type of protein, okay, or stop the production of certain protein, okay. So that is the effects of steroid hormones, okay. So next is Khairil Danish, number 4.
For water soluble hormone,
Soalan?
give two differences in the mechanism of action between water and lipid soluble hormones. Water soluble hormone, hormones bind to cell surface receptors. For lipid soluble hormone, hormones attach to a carrier protein. For water soluble hormone,
Pause kejap. First difference tu kan antara water soluble hormone dengan lipid soluble hormone, facts dia dah betul. Kan awak cakap water soluble hormone receptor dia terletak pada cell surface. Okey, dah betul. Lipid soluble hormone dia dibawa oleh protein carrier. Betul fact tu, tapi awak dapat kosong markah. Kenapa? Sebab apa? Facts betul, tapi salah jawapan. Salah dalam menjawab soalan tu.
tak tahu.
Perbezaan yang awak bagi mesti dalam perbezaan yang sama. You must compare apple to apple. Kalau hormon water soluble hormone awak bagi perbezaan in terms of the receptor, sama juga dengan lipid soluble awak bagi in terms of the location of receptor. Water soluble hormone receptor terletak pada permukaan sel, pada plasma membrane. Tapi kalau lipid soluble hormone, the location of the receptor will be located in dah cakap tadi, saya dah cakap kat sini tadi. Cytoplasm or in the nucleus. Baru betul. You have to compare the same thing, apple to apple. Macam tu. Walaupun facts awak bagi tadi betul, tapi tak dapat markah. Okay, Okay, so yang untuk yang lipid soluble hormone tu tadi awak bagi it is carried in the blood by carrier protein. Okay, betul dah. Tapi kalau untuk water soluble, apa dia punya vice versa dia? It can dissolve in the blood macam tu. Kan dia boleh dissolve kan? Travel freely travel freely in the blood. Okay. So you must compare benda yang sama, travel freely in the blood or dissolve in the blood. Tapi kalau lipid soluble, it needs to bind to transport protein or carrier protein, okay, in order to be transported in the blood. Okay, so ada point lain nak tambah tadi, Khairil? Dia nak
Water soluble hormone cannot pass through the plasma membrane. Lipid soluble hormone easily pass through the plasma membrane.
Okay, betul. Ada lagi?
Tadi.
Tak ada. Okay, so ada 3 kat situ perbezaan yang kita dah bincangkan. So, apa lagi yang boleh letak? Maybe awak boleh letak kalau untuk water soluble hormone, there's production of second messenger or CAMP. Okay, CMP. Kalau lipid soluble hormone, no production of CAMP. Okay. Oh, saya dah nervous dah ni. Okay, dah guru dah. Okay, so next B.
B. Explain why axon with larger diameter speeds up the rate of impulse propagation. My answer is axon with larger diameter offers less resistance to the movement of ions, causing it to move faster.
Boleh tak repeat balik? Saya macam tertinggal tadi.
Axon with larger diameter offers less resistance to the movement of ions, causing it to move faster.
Less resistance.
Yes.
Okay, betul lah. Okay, so the axon with larger diameter, lagi besar axon size diameter dia, lagi banyaklah ruang untuk ion to flow, kan? So less resistant to the flow of ion or to the flow of the current, okay, in the axon. Alright. So mesti ada perkataan less resistant, okay? Less resistant to the flow of current or to the flow of ion. Okay. So the next question, Hanan, Alpha.
Okay. Question C. C1. Based on figure 11 shows 2 neurons S and T. Both neurons form synapse with neuron U. Neuron S releases acetylcholine from its presynaptic vesicles, causing Na+ to enter neuron U. Neuron T releases a different neurotransmitter which allows Cl- to enter neuron U. Based on figure 11, explain the antagonistic effect of neurotransmitters in neuron S and T towards neuron U. My answer is neuron S releases excitatory neurotransmitter, causing neuron U to be permeable to Na+, which will lead to the depolarization of membrane potential in neuron U. While neuron T releases inhibitory neurotransmitter, causing neuron U to receive Cl- from the presynaptic vesicles of neuron T, which leads to the hyperpolarization of the membrane potential in neuron U.
Okay, betul lah. Okay, so you got the full 4 marks kat situ. Okay, so 2 markah untuk your explanation for neurotransmitter in neuron S. Kan you mention it causes Na+ to enter and causes depolarization of the membrane potential. Lagi satu maybe awak boleh add kat situ untuk neuron S ni, kan, neuron S dia Na masuk kan, Na+ masuk, dia cause depolarization. Okay, depolarization. Ataupun make membrane potential more positive. Okay, more positive. And this lead to what? EPSP. Excitatory postsynaptic potential. Okay, by the neuron. Kalau yang nombor 2 by neuron T, okay, chloride ion masuk, chloride ion is negatively charged. So negatively charged, so inside the membrane it becomes more negative or hyperpolarization that will leads to IPSP, inhibitory postsynaptic potential. So basically the effects of these two neurotransmitter, you want to determine whether neuron U reaches threshold or not. Okay, reaches threshold or not. Kalau the value of the membrane potential reaches threshold, then only an action potential will be generated. Of these two neuron, kan, neuron S, neuron T, Yang mana akan menghasilkan action potential dalam neuron U?
Neuron S.
Neuron S, obviously kan. Sebab neuron S akan boleh sampai ke threshold dan menyebabkan the membrane become more positive to reach the peak of an action potential, which is positive 30 millivolt. Kan. So matlamat neurotransmitter sama ada you want to determine whether neurotransmitter can transmit impulse in the next neuron ataupun inhibit the transmission of impulse. Okay. Sebab tu kita ada neuron yang inhibitory, neuron yang excitatory. Okay. So thank you Hanan. Next is Izzat Daniel, number 2.
Number 2, describe how Ca plus ion are involved in synaptic transmission that leads to the release of neurotransmitters by neuron S. Presynaptic membrane depolarized by an action potential. Point number 2, Ca2 plus ion enter the neuron through voltage-gated channels, trigger the influx of calcium ion. And the final point, the high Ca2 plus concentration will cause the vesicle to fuse with presynaptic membrane, will trigger the release of neurotransmitter.
Okay, so complete answer. Okay, your answer is complete. So I hope everyone gets the point given by Izzat. Okay, complete. So basically, when an impulse reaches the synaptic terminal of an axon of a neuron, so it triggers the opening of voltage-gated channel for calcium ion. Okay, so when voltage-gated calcium ion opens, okay, so calcium will enter into the synaptic terminal, causing calcium to enter and causes the membrane to be depolarized. So this causes the vesicle containing neurotransmitter to fuse with the plasma membrane of synaptic terminal, releasing neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. Okay. So kalau nak release neurotransmitter melalui proses ni, kita namakan dia sebagai apa? Exocytosis lah kan. Vesicle containing neurotransmitter fuse with the plasma membrane, releasing the product which is the neurotransmitter into the synaptic cleft. Okay. So thank you Izzat. The last question please by Hazim, Ku Ahmad Hazim.
Question D. Multiple sclerosis is a disease that involves damage to the myelin sheath of neuron. Explain why individuals with multiple sclerosis may have difficulties to coordinate movement. Answer is when the myelin sheath is damaged, the nerve will be exposed to either electrical impulse or ion, making the transmission of nerve impulse to brain will be disturbed.
Okay. Tak, jawapan awak tu tak complete. Yang mana dia suruh explain awak kena relatekan sampai kenapa boleh ada difficulty in coordinating movement tu. Boleh dapat tapi markah awak maybe 1. If you look at the statement, okay, kita tengok kat sini. Multiple sclerosis is a disease that involves damage to the myelin sheath of neuron. Explain why individual with multiple sclerosis may have difficulties to coordinate movement. Kalau orang yang normal, dia fikir dia boleh nak capai satu barang. Kan, sebab ada information daripada brain send kepada awak punya muscle tangan untuk masa tangan awak bergerak dan ambil barang. Tapi kalau untuk orang yang ada multiple sclerosis ni, dia disebabkan oleh penyakit dia ni, transmission of impulse from one neuron to another neuron is disturbed. Okay, is disturbed. So sebab apa dia boleh berlakunya macam ni? Sebab apa? Kalau kita tengok kat statement tu, it damages the myelin sheath. So awak kena relate kan? Awak kena explain what happened to the myelin sheath. Awak dah bagi tahu tadi kan? Dia damaged. Kan? So bila damaged, apa yang menyebabkan seterusnya berlaku? The neuron is not insulated. Okay? Kita dalam neuron tu dia ada part yang axon yang paling penting. Penting dia axon which is wrapped by the myelin sheath. Tapi it is not fully wrapped. Dia akan ada space, we call it as the node of Ranvier. Kan? So at the node of Ranvier yang akan ada voltage gated channel dan menghasilkan impulse, right? Okay. So for the normal neuron, okay, because due to the presence of the myelin sheath, it causes the impulse to be generated only at the nodes of Ranvier, from one nodes to another nodes to another nodes. So this is what we call it as the saltatory conduction. Okay, the generation and the transmission of impulse only at the nodes of Ranvier. So without the myelin sheath, okay, if the myelin sheath is damaged, so the neuron is not insulated, one point, and then causes, apa effect dia adalah, it causes action potential to travel more slowly. Salah satu kenapa axon tu dia ada myelin sheath, so that boleh berlaku saltatory conduction. Impulse generated only at the nodes of Ranvier. Dia sepanjang-panjang axon tu, one point, and then another point, and then another point, and then another point to generate the impulse. Tapi kalau tak ada, so bayangkan macam mana ion tu nak keluar masuk dengan cepat. Dia kena sepanjang-panjang tu ke? Keluar masuk, dia jadi lambat. Faham? So there will be no saltatory conduction. Okay, there will be no saltatory conduction, or action potential travel more slowly. Okay, more slowly or do not travel. So this will cause what? A delay in the muscle contraction. Ion tu, pergerakan ion keluar masuk jadi lambat. So the transmission of impulse will be delayed, and so therefore there will be delay in the muscle contraction. Okay, there will be delayed in the muscle contraction, or even the muscle does not contract, or the muscle contracts slower, for example, ataupun problem in controlling the contraction of the muscle. Okay, so that is the point that you can include. So first point, awak explain what happened to the myelin sheath. Okay, damage lah. Maksudnya apa jadi kat neuron tu, kan? Apa jadi kat neuron tu, dan apa yang akan berlaku, how do you relate with the difficulty to coordinate movement tu tadi, kan? So delay in muscle contraction for the second point. Faham boleh? Faham?
Boleh, madam.
Okay, so hujan dah lebat sangat. Okay, so do you have any question? Tak ada?
No.
Okay, so if you don't have any question, let me